I'm ready for the gym, Michael.
That's good to see you. Andrew, can I ask you firstly? I'm only allowed to ask you two questions, so I'm going to lob two into one initially. Firstly, how are you health wise, and what are the key learnings that you've taken as a group, as a squad from the match against Wales last weekend?
That's two questions, Michael. Those questions aren't linked at all. I'm grand, yeah, I'm fine. I just felt a bit dodgy on Friday night, but I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even think I was feeling dodgy. You know, you when you're preparing for a test match, at times you've obviously there's nerves and there's it's a big occasion. So I was I didn't even realize it until I started puking that was, and I think what happens when these things happen are you kind of you use your mind to not allow it in as well. You know, you just convince yourself that you're feeling fine. You don't say it to anyone unless you're really struggling, obviously. But I was grand. I just once I got one out of me, I wasn't going to stop, or it wasn't going to stop until I was empty. So probably a wise decision to get me off, because if the ball came down my way at one stage, I wouldn't have been much use.
And in terms of Wales, the key learnings from that game last weekend.
Yeah. So there's loads of stuff. Obviously, we won't go through everything, but I think there is so much growth in the team in that we didn't actually play that well. We played quite well, but there's so much more in us, and it's properly exciting to come away with a good win. I know they went down to 14 men for 10 minutes and we took advantage, but we had a properly good win, a goodish performance with so much more to come. You know, the detail that we've looked at, detail even we were chatting in after the change room on how much better we can be is pretty clear for us to see in here. So there's a massive challenge. Obviously, this weekend's going to be a different animal altogether, and it's going to be a way tougher match, I suppose. And it's probably one of the most exciting places to go in the world, France in Paris. So we're excited. We're building now at the moment. We had a good training session today, and we'll put it all together tomorrow, hopefully, and be ready to go on Saturday.
And just a final question from me in relation to France and the threat they pose. I mean, pending selection, obviously, it's not too often that you know you come on, you go into a match like this on the back of scoring two tries, and the fellow that you could be up against this weekend scored three. It's a kind of slightly unusual situation.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that. Yeah, it's like, like they're proper good team. They're proper, like, seriously good team. They got threats across the board, massive pack. They're very agile as well. They're well able to play ball, and then their backline speaks to themselves. You know, I could name all seven of them. There's probably 14 of them I could name that can do serious damage. So, it's going to be an unbelievably exciting challenge, and it's going to be a tough match, but it's something that we're really excited for, because it's gonna give us a really good idea of where we're at.
Good man. Thanks. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrew. Ashton here from Off the Ball. How are you again?
Good, you?
Good, thank you. And just for you personally, sorry now if these are a bit repetitive, but for you personally, obviously you came away with two tries, you had a great performance yourself. Do you think that you put in a good shift? Is there place you need to improve, or how did you feel when you came away from the pitch?
Yeah, I think I went okay. I think the two tries puts a nice gloss on it, but I've certainly played better recently, especially for Ireland. So aerially, the conditions were testy enough, but I would have liked to have got one or two. Well, I got one back, but I had or two back, sorry, and there was two that I actually got into contest for that I could have done better in. You know, you not necessarily even got it back, but whenever you're looking at the process and how you actually got into contest, you look at, did I get in the right place? And if you get in the right place, you don't win it back, then so be it. So there's two of them, a bit of kicking stuff, and there's loads of elements to the game that me personally and the team didn't click to that level that we know we can. So we'll need to this week, like we'll need to play as good as we've ever played to be in with a chance. But it's exciting, and if we can get the performance where we know we can play at, then we're certainly going to be in the mix.
And just when you say you haven't clicked yet to where you know you can, was that the mood in the dressing room after? Obviously, it was a brilliant win, it was a great performance, but you felt that you can do better?
100%, yeah. We definitely felt we could do better, and like Wales, obviously we're missing a few. They had a few guys playing out of position, and we played really well at times. I'm certainly not saying that we didn't, because at times we did exactly what we wanted to do, but we just weren't consistent with it. We didn't do it, and we're never going to do it every time, but we know we can do it a bit more, or a lot more than we did. So if we can keep the good parts of our game in, and just add that bit more consistency and take those opportunities, a couple more opportunities, then we're going to be in a good place.
That's great, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi Andrew, it's Bernard here from Virgin Media. How are things?
Good.
I suppose, Andrew, from the outside looking in, this feels like box office. It's the two sides hotly fancied ahead of the tournament. In terms of around camp this week, is there a different feel in terms of, you're playing France, it's France away, it's you against the side's so-called favourites at the start of the place?
Maybe. I suppose I'd be better positioned to ask you that tomorrow. Tomorrow's like yesterday. We're still recovering. We're kind of reviewing a bit. We're getting ourselves ready for today. We're only halfway through today now, so we've had a good session. Bit of a hit out, kind of putting in a few new bits and pieces for this weekend. So you kind of you treat these weeks day by day. There's maybe a small bit more of a different feel, because obviously we've won in the bank now, and we've a performance there put that we can look back on, and obviously you're kind of marrying the week just gone and then the week that you're coming into. So tomorrow's a real big day for us, that we take the learnings of last weekend, we put a few new things in place, and we train really well, and tomorrow's our performance day. So I suppose I'm not really answering your question, but it's we're getting there, I suppose. No, I don't. The perfect performance doesn't exist. So we're not going to get the perfect performance, and we got to be okay with that. We need a really, really, really high level performance. We need to play as good as we played. That's not going to be perfect. There's no chance we're ever going to play perfect, and that's okay. But yeah, we'll need one of our best.
Great stuff. Thanks, Lee.
Hey Andrew, how's it going? Congrats on the couple of tries. I want to ask about the one where you finished into the right corner, the tougher finish maybe. Yeah. What was going through your head? Did you think about cutting in? Obviously Josh Allen is no slouch.
Yeah. It all happens quite quickly. I thought he actually held off. I was surprised how much space he gave me. I thought because of the support coming back on his inside, I was expecting him to come a bit harder, and that was likely going to make me have to cut back in, because the angle wouldn't have been as favourable. So with the knowledge, knowing that we had advantage at the time, I think we did. I'm pretty sure we did. I had a small bit more license to go for it. And yeah, they're lovely ones to score, I must say. I was chuffed enough with that, because they're those tight ones that in test matches, you don't want to be wasting opportunities, and to just get in was obviously quite satisfying. Yeah.
And you were obviously really prominent again, like winning balls back in the air. How pleasing is that side of the game? How important is it going to be going to Stade de France? Yeah,
it's a massive part of the game, Murray. Yeah, 100%. They kick a lot. We pride ourselves as a back three and across the board of being good in the air, but it's definitely work-ons. A couple of ones I got into, as I was saying previously, that I didn't get into it correctly. I got one back with Hugo, put me a lovely little one up. Then I got a hand to it that Ty got scraps on, but there was two in the first half that my timing was wrong, and they're frustrating ones that you look back on after, because one of the things I want to bring to the team is when a ball goes up and the kick is good enough for me to compete with it, I want us to be getting back a high percentage of them. So plenty work to do, but yeah, it's going to be a big part of the game this week, I think.
Thanks. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Murray.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? Just on your illness, were you okay for the captain's run, and when did it come on? How suddenly did that come on overnight, and how bad was it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. As I said, it wasn't bad at all, really. No, I wasn't aware that I was ill in the captain's run, and I just felt a bit off the day of the game. But I think with these games as well, they're big old matches, so you can almost put that down to nerves, which I did, genuinely. And then at halftime, I felt a bit dodgy again. But like at halftime, I felt dodgy at many half times, because you've had a fair bit of caffeine. There's been a lot going on. You're fatigued. You're getting that breath. And then it was a genuinely surprise to me. It was more when I look back on the day and then the kind of previous evening. I was like, oh, maybe I was a small bit off, but certainly not a place to. I didn't even say it to anyone, and it wasn't me thinking I was keeping it to anyone. It was just I just didn't really think about it. So it was probably it all looked a bit more dramatic than it really was.
Very good. And just on your try, I mean, it was really super try from where we were. But when you say you were playing, you knew you had penalty advantage. I mean, if you didn't have the penalty advantage, would you still have felt you had the freedom to go on the outside? It was high risk reward, as in it was a try, or you were probably losing possession. Do you think that the way you play now, that you still would be encouraged, and you probably would have taken that option anyway, as opposed to cutting back inside, securing the ball, but coming up a couple of yards short?
Yeah, I think I think you just got to try and do what presents itself to you, and not necessarily think of whether we had advantage or whether we didn't, and I know I said that in the last one that we had an advantage, so it gave me a bit more license. So you definitely have a slight bit more license than advantage. But if we don't, I think you gotta have the balls to go and do what the right thing to do is at the time, and not just step back inside because it's easier and you want to retain ball. If I think I can score a try, and if I've been scoring those type of tries in training and beating those defenders in training, then that's probably my cue that, okay, you can go for it here. If I'm not, then there's your answer. You don't go for it, So it's certainly one of those ones where it's tight, and you either come away looking like or feeling like you've done the right job, or if you get bundled in, it's the wrong decision. So it's something that as wingers, you want to be scoring those type of tries. They're the ones that really count for the team. So trying to just get those decision makings right is something that you're just constantly kind of making sure where your game is at, and you base your decisions off where your game is at the time.
Nice one, Andrew. Best of luck on Saturday.
Okay, guys, we got time for just one more.
David.
Okay, Pat, you were first off the mark there. Off you go, quick.
Thank you. Andrew, just I suppose, like, your strike rate's very impressive in Test rugby there. Like, I was looking there, you're just outside the top 10 already for tries scored. Like, is that something that, everyone goes on about your ability up in the air and kind of contesting balls, but to be already mixing it at this stage, like, with some of the legends of the game, is that something that you ever kind of dreamed of doing, kind of being up there with all those kind of legendary players?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know where I am in the try standings. It's one of those ones where you obviously that's great. And the job of a winger obviously used to be the perception is they score tries, and that's changed drastically over the years. But at the end of the day, scoring tries is what we're all trying to do. The team who scores the more tries usually wins a match. So yeah, it's something that I have concentrated on, I suppose, a bit more over the years, and just like I've talked to you guys before about my kind of writing down and the visualization stuff. Like adding try scoring into that in terms of writing down that I'm a try scorer. Putting particular words around it that resonate with me. Helps. I think it almost beats it into yourself that this is what you're here to do, and you're good enough to do it, and you're going to do it. So yeah, it's something that obviously I've got a relatively good strike rate for Ireland, and hopefully that continues. It's a massive part of the game, and amongst other things, it's certainly something that you want to be getting. You want to be getting every other game. You probably, if you set a really high standard for yourself, you want to be scoring a try every couple of matches, if not a bit more. So trying to stay on that trend is going to be important for me going forward.
Perfect. Good luck at the weekend.
Okay, guys, thanks for that. We're going to quickly move over to Johnny the next couple of minutes.